Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Sunday live stream. And today we got a lot of things to talk about. So I brought on my friend yet again, Jerry V. Hall, to come here and help me out. Jerry, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Hi, everyone. Nice to see you.
Hey, I see you got a nice new locale. That's a very nice space. Is this you just moved out of the Bell monastery?
Yeah, there'll be no church bells today, folks. Yeah, I moved out of the cabin. I'm in a Tico style, like a traditional Costa Rican style home built with cinder blocks and a lot of tile. Boy, there's a lot of tile in this house.
I like, wow, that's good. Sounds like a nice new place. So today, if you want to afford those new places, we got to talk about some things. And first of all, before we get into about some altcoin season, we're going to talk about some projects that are really popping off, talking about altcoin season, how big it is. And I think going to Q4 will be bigger. And then we're going to talk about AI and compute and how that kind of rolls into AI agents. And then a couple other things also for voting on Cardano. So first things first, I released this video yesterday. This is with Matt Crosby over at Bitcoin Magazine Pro. And we talked, and it was a great, this is our second video together. This guy's really smart. I like where he's going. And he said a couple of things. First of all, he reiterated the fact that this time is not different. It's essentially we're recycling the same thing for the last cycles. And then he also talked about, and I thought this is fairly important, two other big things. One was the multiplier effect, why $1 does not equal $1 for Bitcoin, and how much little dollars we actually need to really get us into the stratosphere. And the second thing, and I think one of the most important things, is he talked about there are these indicators that he's looking at specifically. There's only 3, and he cross-references it with other indicators, but these 3 are like the big ones. And just watch that video. It's about 28 minutes long. I cut it down as much as I possibly could. The link is in the description, so check that out. And then also, as a quick reminder, if you're not signed up for Kraken, well, first of all, I only use Kraken. But as the bull run comes in Q4, I need you guys to have as many on-ramps and off-ramps, which are exchanges, as possible. I don't want you to just sit there and go, wow, we're up 54% today. I'd like to sell some, and you can't because your exchange is down. So Kraken is just one. But if you sign up for Kraken, I think it's like a $25 bonus you get. Plus, if you trade within the app, you get another $20 in Bitcoin. So it's up to you what you want to do. It's an affiliate link. You don't have to use it, but just look at the 20, 25 bucks. Jerry, altcoin season is upon us. First of all, how do you feel? Before we get the data, how do you feel about altcoins? Do you feel like your bags are pumping, or do you feel like, man, this sucks? Because this isn't like 2021. Maybe it is different in some regards. How do you feel about your bags themselves?
You know, I'll be honest. I don't have like a huge emotional attachment to them anymore. I had already kind of mentally prepared myself for a liquidation cycle, right? So on one side of that coin is, okay, we're seeing some liquidity come into the market. Especially a lot of my AI projects have really over the last 12 months had a major increase or appreciation. And so what I'm doing is I'm preparing to liquidate a relatively large portion of my altcoins for 2 reasons. One, to have a more manageable crypto portfolio, and also to acquire some liquidity, because I want to make an investment in the quality of my life by building the home that I've been dreaming about for so long.
Yeah, isn't that great? And, you know, like people will talk about, they're like, well, you know, it's really important to make it, you know, I lock in and I make a ton of gains. Well, that's great. But if you're stressed out, you're just taking years off your life. So it's just a proven fact. I'd like everybody just to, you know, be healthy and do the things that they need to do to actually not only elongate their life, but live a happy life while they're on this planet. So that would come down to the altcoin season and where things are at. Now, I put on here that this is the altcoin season for some, because in 2021, it felt like it didn't matter what you bought. You were a genius and everybody was fantastic. We all know that. But this is the altcoin season index. And when I say it's altcoin season, people are like, you're full of it because my bag of Monero or my bag of XYZ isn't pumping. So why is that? And it comes down to this altcoin season as defined here on the site on Ben's. Altcoin season index is defined as the amount of the top 50 altcoins that have a 90-day return of investment greater than Bitcoin. So whenever it's less than 25% of a 90-day ROI, then it's Bitcoin season, which you can see right here in the green line, which in all honesty, you should put that in the orange line, but whatever. And then of course, when altcoins start to appreciate off of this, and it doesn't have to be all of them. This has to be, 75% or the majority. Then you start to get into this red area. And we can see that it's done pretty well. Actually, it popped off in July. That was a good time probably to sell. And then it comes down here. And then here we are, 11th of September. But then look at this. 79, 77, 77.2, 79. And now we're all the way at 81.82 altcoin season index. And you can see here, what I like about this site is here's all the tokens, and you can see which ones are outperforming or not. What the heck is Story? Jerry, have you ever heard of this?
Never.
I've not heard of this. No. Story, Pudgy Penguins, okay. OKB, we know. Kronos, Athena, Mantle, Ethereum. Most of the altcoins we didn't buy because just how it is. Now, me and Jerry have a boatload of different altcoins. I think I've got way more than Jerry. Jerry's a little more conservative. Sometimes I get a little more degen. But these are the ones that outperformed. And what I did like about this, I saw this one over here. It's already in here. Aster. A-S-T-E-R. And Aster and also Avantis was actually, I was tipped off to this by a friend of the show, Wes, over at Smart Money Tracking. He told me about Avantis, the first one. Second one, which we're going to take a look at, Astra. This is from Binance. This was actually me, Guy, and Nick on NFA Live on Thursday morning. We were talking about this after the show. And I didn't want to say anything, but it seemed like a pretty good deal. Then Friday kind of came and went. Saturday I did a recording, and now here we are. But Jerry, I think we talked about this, but have you heard about Astra and Avantis? Oh, I think we talked about
matter of fact, from you, right? The DEX with 1,000x leverage.
Actually, it was actually 500x leverage. I was wrong, but the 1,000
I apologize.
Here with Astra. Yeah.
So amazing. I mean, so again, had you the opportunity to invest in the NASDAQ itself, the actual company that lists all these tech stocks, they earn money through the trading of those stocks on their exchange. People who invested, like the owners of the NASDAQ, the owners of the New York Stock Exchange, they make a lot of money, and they're going to make money whether the market is up or down. It's literally sentiment proof. As long as there's trading, they're making money. And so when you talked about this last, I think 6 or 7 days ago, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And now to see the players that are behind this, ooh.
Yeah, not too bad,
So
right?
carry on, sir.
Yeah, so I will say that if you want to know more about Astra, the Wes did a great video called I always call it Astra. It's Astra. Can Aster 100x price prediction? Of course, you gotta put in some kind of catchy title. But I mean, from what I've seen so far, it's going pretty good. Now, I got into it not as early as I'd like to. And if we can take a look here as far as like trending, I mean, Aster and Avantis are crushing it. Now, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. And I still believe that Bitcoin will be here in 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, maybe 100 years, who knows, unless AI wipes us out. But, these other altcoins, they're still not doing too bad. Look at BNB, up 12%. Of course, this is why. So we take a look at the price appreciation. It's called APX, but you can see right here, APX has been rebranded to Aster, which is what we're talking about now. And you're going to see that it hasn't been out that long, 6, 7 cents, 7 cents since all the way back in August 22nd. Boy, when alts move, they move. And there's very few of them that do this like this. And meme coins can do this when they're ranked in like number 1,000, 2,000, 8,764, but try getting the liquidity out. Good luck. But this one, as far as market cap, it's sub 1 billion, 727 million. So it'll hit a billion soon enough. And it went from 9 cents, 10 cents, all the way to today. What's the date today, Jerry?
September 21st, sir.
Damn, almost hit $2. So if you got in here early, I didn't get in that early. I got in early enough, but not down here. So congratulations, everybody who's done that. And then Avantis, and real quick, APX or Aster, this is the CZ Binance decentralized exchange. And he's always talked about how he thought this was the future, and now he's fulfilling his future and or his dream. And that makes sense. Avantis is essentially Brian Armstrong and Coinbase, and this is their dream, this DEX. And they're fulfilling that as well. And you can see here that it didn't do as great as Aster, but it went from 20 cents to $2. So again, I mean, I'll take that. That's not too bad. I'll go from there. And I linked in the description the DEX, Aster DEX, and also Avantis. So just real quick, just to give you an overview of like, why does Rob talk about DEXs and why is this going to be a thing? First of all, anything can collapse. Tomorrow, you could see this go down 99%. I have no idea because we're in uncharted territory. But the Aster DEX, the one from CZ Binance, it's on the BNB chain. It's perpetual futures, pushing deep liquidity. Jerry, do you mess around with perpetuals?
No.
Or perps?
I'm not really into any of the derivatives, to be perfectly honest with you.
Gotcha. Well, just so you know, there's like a little bit of a, like I don't do it either, but from what I understand, as far as futures, correct me in the comments section, there is an expiration date on futures. So if you put it in for like a month, 2 months, a year, whatever long it takes, there comes a time when you have to pony up. But perpetuals, you can leave that in perpetuity, essentially just going for as long as you want to for there's no time constraints. And of course, with that comes a lot of fees and a lot of potential. But that is what the difference between like, say, like a Uniswap or some other DEX that's out there and this perp. Now, there are other perps, I think, in DEXs. You can tell me in the comments section. But the difference here is we've got Coinbase backing one and Brian Armstrong. And you got CZ Binance from Binance back in the second one. This, to me, kind of feels like the good old days in the 90s when you had somebody like Bill Gates and he went against Steve Jobs. It's like Apple versus Microsoft. Which one's going to win? I don't know which one's going to win. And quite honestly, I don't care. All I know is that one of these is going to be pretty big and there might be a second fiddle. Or it might be like Microsoft and Apple. But I'm going to be on top of this train as it takes off. So we'll go from there. But just real quick, Aster, it's, of course, deep liquidity, super high leverage. Like I told Jerry, it's like 1,001x leverage. And then Avantis is on base. It's a perp for, you know, for Binance, or excuse me, for Coinbase. But it trades real world assets. So FX, commodities, indices, stocks. Aster doesn't do all that, but it does do stocks. And it gets up to a 500x leverage. So the token itself, you got Aster as a native token. And then Avantis it's for governance, powers, incentives, all that stuff. But there's a big thing, which is the more Aster that you have, it'll allow you to go up in the leverage tiers. So you're going to need an amount of Aster to get the higher leverage. Also, there's a buyback program with Aster. I don't know if it's a buyback and a burn, but there is chatter of the burns coming later. And then, of course, all the revenue that flows from that, everybody shares in that revenue. So that's like a little down and dirty thing. Again, if you want to get more deeper into it, just check out Wes. And just all you do is a search for smart money tracking and you'll find it. But Jerry, what do you think about this one?
You know, I think back to, it was about the end of 2018, I believe, when the BNB coin came to the market, right? When we saw Binance release a utility token based off of their exchange. And at that time, and I believe they even still are, they were the largest exchange by volume on the planet. And I thought to myself, Why would I want to invest in a utility token for an exchange? It's not going to offset my trading fees that much. And I don't do that much trading as an investor. So I'll pass on it. And one of the things that we've all watched in this space is how Binance brought value to that utility token over time. It went from I think it ICO'd at around 20 cents or something like that, dabbled for a while, and now look at what BNB is per token. It's in the top 10 of all tokens in market cap, and it's a utility token for an exchange. What does that tell you? It tells you pick and shovel plays are still very much sought after and valuable in this space. And so it may not be a bad investment to put a few dollars into some of these as these platforms grow and add services and accrue value, etc.
Yeah, accrue value. And I think that's the very big thing. And like you were talking about, Jerry, you said you brought up BNB token itself because you're like, well, I mean, and I thought the same thing. Why would I actually hold that? But if we take a look, and before I show this, I want to remind everybody, for every one BNB token out there, there is 1,000 different like EOSs out there. Sorry, EOS holders. I'm one of them. And you're like, oh, this is going to be the future. And it's not the future. And that's the big problem. So we take a look here at like BNB token. It's 1,056. And when it first came out in 2017, when I was around, I was like, I'm not buying that garbage. It was a dime, 9 cents, 11 cents. That's it. And then, of course, it peaked out at $23. And everybody's like, yeah, it's pretty good. And then it collapsed to $4. And it was like, what a piece of trash. And then, of course, it just does that. Like, you can't even tell. Look at that. You can't even tell. So again, like for every one BNB, there's 1,000 other ones that just are really sucking. And I will just say before we move on, for Aster and Avantis, I've already doubled my money. So what do we do when you double your money? You sell 50%. You let the 50% ride. So there is no stress on me whatsoever. On the other one, on Aster, it's at $1.68. I missed the cutoff. $1.94. It was very close. But once that doubles, I'll be selling half of it. And of course, like when you were talking about like, how high I can go, even if Aster does what I think it could do, I'll still be very happy with the 50% or 25% or even 10% that I hold on to. Anyhow, thoughts on that one, Jerry?
Well, I love this strategy of take a position. If the position doubles, take all your actual investment out. You have no capital risk now, right? I mean, zero capital risk, and you're literally riding on house money, right? And if it should double again and you sell 25%, you've just profited 25%. And again, no capital risk, but monster upside appreciation potential. Everybody wants a situation like that, right? Zero liability, 100% appreciation possibility. What a great scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good. It looks, again, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow, but so far it looks great. However, if you really want to do like a deep dive and go into all that stuff, it's going to have to be, a whole nother video. So well said, Jerry. And then before we move on into a little AI play, just as a quick reminder, I thought it was a couple times, but maybe this is when I'm going to make mention. If you're like confused a little bit about some things, Jerry has a Patreon group. It's called Beyond Moon, which is a pretty good name for that one. So there's a free sign up and there's a paid sign up. It's just whatever you want to do, and there's membership options. So if you're like, I don't understand this part or that part, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you like walk through people of what they're
right? So there are various membership options, right? And two of them get you one-on-one, and you can do anything with that one-on-one. It might be portfolio strategy. It might be as simple as help me set up this wallet, right? And everything in between. Think of it as your concierge. It's like a concierge service, white glove concierge service. You can use your one-on-ones for whatever you want to use them for.
Yeah.
And then once a month, there's an overall virtual like live stream where questions and answers and a topic. Like we'll cover a topic. Maybe it's monetary policy 1 week. Maybe it's options trading 1 week. 1 month. They're various topics and they're germane to whatever's going on in the moment.
Sounds good to me. So everybody, there's a link in the description. You can check that out. Again, many tiers available for you. If things are confusing, don't worry. It's a lot of confusion out there. So Jerry can help you out with that. So moving forward, so we talked about Beyond Moon. We talked about Aster, Avantis, and just the massive return on investment. But I think there's something even bigger on the horizon, and that is AI. And we've talked about a couple different projects. My big project is Aether, and I'm biased because I got in super early, and I think it's going to be great as far as like if you have a bunch of GPUs and they're being underutilized, you can pay to have them utilized and get compute. And compute is essentially like the gravy train of what we need to actually run all this AI, ChatGPT and Grok and everything else. But I just wanted to show you this video of where things are going as far as AI. And as a reminder, like the AI that we're using now, in 5 years, just the electrical production that we have in the entire United States is what we're going to need for the entire massive amount of AI in 5 years. So just take a listen to this. This is Albania unveils an AI-generated Minister of Finance. Hold on, let me make sure you can hear this. Let's see. And there we are. Because if I don't do this right, then the audio sounds awful and everybody complains. Okay, there we go. Take a listen to Zeus. It's about a minute long.
Uproar in Albania's parliament. Opposition politicians block the lectern, hurl papers and hurl their disapproval, insulted that an artificial intelligence should be appointed to the cabinet. Prime Minister Edi Rama defended his decision.
Introducing artificial intelligence in the service of good governance, anti-corruption, and accelerated socioeconomic progress will be an unwavering priority for all the country's ministries and agencies.
It's a vertiginous promotion for the AI called D.A.N. Earlier this year, she was rolled out on a public service website as a virtual assistant. Now she's a full-blown government minister tasked with making corruption-free decisions on public tenders. The opposition accuses her of being unconstitutional since she's not a real Albanian.
It's true that I do not have citizenship, but nor do I have any personal ambition or interests. I only have data, a thirst for knowledge, and algorithms dedicated to serving citizens impartially, transparently, and tirelessly.
Rama has just begun his 4th term as Prime Minister and has made it his central mission to get Albania into the EU. AI has been deployed to process the enormous amount of paperwork required and introduced across Albanian society in procurement, tax, road safety, and policing, all in an effort to meet EU standards. Critics warn that without proper oversight, AI could easily be exploited or abused, potentially making Albania's long-running corruption issues worse.
Cherry, so just watching that, who would ever thought that a sovereign country would say, hey, we're going to create an AI Minister of Finance and run with it? What are your thoughts on this, and where do you see AI going?
I love it. I don't know the adoption rate. I can't predict. As a matter of fact, I would think it'd be very low that other countries come on board with it. But just the fact that a country is doing it is kind of announcing, hey, we're in this new paradigm shift. AI is going to be influencing every sector of life and industry.
So
get ready. What will get disrupted and what won't is still up for debate and speculation, but it's clear to see that its influence is only on the rise. And that's actually very exciting because that means opportunity for folks like us.
Yeah, exactly. Picks and shovels and stuff like that. So this would, then we'll kind of wrap this up and we'll get a little Q&A. I just saw that Oracle is in talks with Meta, used to be called Facebook, for a 20 billion AI cloud computing deal. So you've got cloud service, AI service together. And this is just 20 billion. This, I think, is a drop in the bucket. And if you want to take a look at like the different products that are there, and you know, it's relatively easy to find the projects, but as far as like which ones to invest into, if you go to CoinGecko and you click on categories, it'll give you all the different categories that are out there. Layer ones, proof of work, proof of stake. And I got to find, there it is. Number 27, artificial intelligence. These are all the AI. Oh, look at that story, the one we're just talking about. I'll be damned. So I missed that one, but it is what it is. And of course, it has all these different products that are out there. Render, I think Jerry's a big believer in that. Fetch also, Theta, so on and so forth. Aether still isn't here. But that would lead me to the last point, which is Cardano and Project Catalyst. Jerry brought this to my attention. Apparently there's a vote going on for Cardano stake pool operators who lack affordable. But it looks like they're going to go through for this AI initiative and also for cloud storage. Jerry, what is this and how do we vote on this if we're a Cardano holder?
So I, like you, believe that the demand for compute is only going to increase and that the world's electrical grids cannot support companies like Meta, Oracle, Microsoft, etc., just building these hyper-scaling data centers wherever they want, whenever they want. The limiting factor is electricity, right? And so what that means is I built this company, Compute Portal, believing that small, lightweight, low energy consumption devices powering AI will be a market that will expand as this industry grows. And so the Cardano Home Portal initiative through Project Catalyst 14, the F14 fund, is my company's way of saying, hey, help us fund the development of this, one of these lightweight type products for the Cardano ecosystem so that developers, stake pool operators, API integration companies can get edge compute at a lower cost than they would if they were purchasing it from AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud or DigitalOcean, what have you. Okay. And so I'm asking your audience, if you're already have your Project Catalyst voting app on your phone and you've already connected a wallet to it, in other words, you're eligible to vote, please take the link in the description of this video, give it a review, and tomorrow when voting starts, which tomorrow the 22nd is when the voting starts, please vote. And if you want more information, follow me on X, because I will be doing a couple of X spaces until the October 6th deadline for voting to discuss this initiative and other things that Compute Portal is trying to do to benefit the Cardano ecosystem.
Yeah, so it looks like stake pool operators like myself, instead of us using Amazon Web Service, which, you know, that's what most of us actually do, we're going to be able to go through, looks like this project, and be able to host everything there. I'll go with that. Makes things more decentralized, that's for sure.
And that's the point, right? We have all these quote unquote decentralized software networks, but they're actually running on very centralized hardware networks. And Compute Portal is trying to bring an alternative to that, to these decentralized platforms.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a good segment, because I don't think we've ever talked about voting. So that'll be great. Everybody, if you're looking for more information, there's a link in the description. I got a lot of links today. And one of those is Jerry's direct X account, and you can check that out. And then he'll be doing spaces to talk about what that is and how to vote and how to go through the whole process. But that is it for today. So look, if you like today's video, before you leave, do me a favor, like and subscribe. Apparently that is like a big thing for the algorithm. But now, if you want to stick around even longer, which is the fun part, we get to talk about how we were totally wrong, or some people actually agree with us. And we'll do a little Q&A and answer everybody's questions. and then we'll have questions for you guys, and we'll go back and forth. So let's get to it. So I saw this for Usif. He says it's called gambling because we were talking about the altcoins, and guess what, Mr. Putz, he's right. It is gambling. I mean, but everything's a gamble, right? Every investment that you really get into is a gamble, even if it's as safe as, say, like treasuries. Like I'm into treasuries, and it's 100% guaranteed. Well, I'm sure people in Brazil thought the same thing. I'm sure the people in Mexico probably thought the same thing. Argentina, it doesn't really matter. Like things collapse, or like houses, real estate, sometimes doesn't work out. But as far as like crypto digital assets, he's right. It is gambling. So the big thing is protect yourself, have some rules. My rule is if it doubles in price, I sell 50%, and I sit on Easy Street and just kind of go from there. Also the long call. Plato states, since Jerry has moved, I am seeing him in a different light. And that is actually true. Let's see. LAX guy says, relax, stay calm, and stack Tesla. Not a bad thing. Amir, thanks for the $2. But again, I appreciate all different funds, but keep your money, put it into these assets that you think are important, and kind of roll from there. And that could be digital assets. That could be gold, silver, equities, land, whatever. Go from there. And let's see. Let's go back to that part about AI, Jerry, where it says, and Alex is a good point, and this is a quote from probably the future, from Skynet, when they wipe us out. And they're telling the other computers in all the different planets, I never had to take over. They just gave me power, and that's AI. So what do you think about that? Albania having a finance minister that is totally artificial intelligence. And how do you see, Jerry, just to, like a little thought experiment, how do you see that as far as like in the future for elections? Well, oh, AI just silenced you, Jerry. They just silenced you. Damn, Grok. Oh, this is probably one of those glitches where everybody else can hear Jerry but me. Okay. Can everybody hear Jerry? Say yes or no in the comment section. Okay. Nah. Just keep talking, Jerry. I'm sure they can hear you. Okay, that was a good response. I couldn't hear it, but it sounds good. So let's see. Can everybody hear Jerry? Oh, okay, great. It wasn't just me. Jerome says, talk in all caps, Jerry. Well, here, Jerry, do me a favor. Pop off and pop back in real quick. And let me just talk to everybody about AI. There was, if you think about it, a lot of these, and this isn't going to happen. This is just some random thing that we're talking about. As the future rolls out, I think there's going to be more and more of this. We're going to offload our responsibility and give that to artificial intelligence. And in some places, it'll be great. In other places, it'll be a disaster. I think for some of these, as far as like with, if you're talking about politicians, some politicians, they lie, cheat, and steal. And they're the worst pieces of scum on the planet, unfortunately. And I think if we allow artificial intelligence to do it on some of these things, we actually, I think, should let them take over, especially in different councils, and just to give us feedback. How would it be great if the Federal Reserve could have like half AI and really look at data and say, oh, well, this data looks like this and this and this, and it's not a political type of agenda, and we actually get some type of output. Actually, even better is that we just abolish the Federal Reserve in the first place. That would be great. But I think that there's some place for artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, I think it'll get too big too fast, and we'll give too much to it, and then we'll just be wiped out. Okay, Jerry, I think I can hear you now.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Good deal.
So I wanted to answer your question, and I put it in the form of an epiphany and a realization that I went through when I learned that the World Bank had issued a blockchain bond to the country of Haiti for the allocation of money to do this infrastructure project. And the reason they did a blockchain bond is so that they could track every dollar that was spent and where it went and who it went to and when it went to them. And the idea here was that it was completely transparent, and the transparency element would cut down dramatically the corruption and misuse of funds. I thought, what a wonderful thing, because there is corruption everywhere that there are people, because people are corruptible, right? But blockchain, by its very nature, if you program it to do A, B, and C, guess what? It doesn't matter. It will do A, B, and C. And the same goes for AI. If you tell AI you want it to do A, B, and C, it will only do A, B, and C. And there's an element in the way we are governed that would benefit from something that isn't emotional, isn't subjective. It's just this A, B, C, D, and E. And we can count on it. It's reliable. It's predictable. It's repeatable. And there are elements of that that we do need in government. We don't need it to totally govern us, but we do need it. I love the idea in finance, right? I love that idea. So I'm all for it.
I want to show you something. So like, I know people are like, well, that's a nice talk, pie in the sky type of thing about what AI can do or what it can't do. And did you guys know, let me see. I'm going to share this with everybody. Let me bring this in. That airdrop. Should I have this ready beforehand? But when you're working with AI, people like, people treat AI like a very glorified Google search engine, which is fine. I mean, it works pretty well like that. But there's another way to do things. I did this a couple of days ago. Did you know? I sent this to my wife. So I have this track on these blinds. I don't know if you can see that. Let me blow it up. And it was a big pain in the A to fix. So I just took a picture of it and I said, "Hey, ChatGPT, how do I fix this section? And what is the most common error?" And it said, "Oh, well, that's a blah 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 type of chain and ball type of visor or shade. And here's what you got to do: just do this, 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 and this, and you'll fix it." And then I had an issue with my garage door. No, sorry, it's a gate that rolls open, and it's electronic, and there was something wrong with the motherboard. Took a picture of that. ChatGPT, how do you fix this? Oh, you got to do this and this, and then try to do this and clean this area. Worked like a charm. Didn't have to tell anybody. So like all these things that we're doing with like AI stuff, there's just that's one use case. I don't know if you use anything else for AI, Jerry, but I have to tell you, the thing you were talking about, and you're talking about blockchain, and then you're talking about AI. Imagine if we can just, well, we've already done it for the most part, but merging those two together, those two powerful entities, that I think is the big play, and that's the next altcoin season. But thoughts, Jerry?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to see AI integrate itself into every facet of our lives. The ability to process data at the rate that it processes it lends itself to efficiencies in everything, every single thing. I mean, you could never take a picture of your issue and send it to Google in the Google browser and have Google give you those responses. It just wasn't built for that. So these new tools, we're going to discover ways to do things better, faster, more efficiently, and they'll just become norm. No differently than the way computers entered the home or morphed themselves into handheld units that became wireless, right?
Yeah.
There were these almost wow technologies, and they got adopted little by little by little, and the adoption rate of each thing led to the speed of adoption for the next thing. So I don't think it's going to take 20 years for AI to be ubiquitous like it took 20 years for the internet to become ubiquitous, right? I think we're on a much faster adoption curve because of it, the pre-existing technologies that led way to it.
Exactly. But it just takes time. And that's the big thing. Hey, look at this one. The trucker says, no bots are needed in government. I'll tell you this, if we had more bots in government or AI type of thing, we wouldn't have so much insider trading. Just saying. Wouldn't that be something? And then also, if you guys aren't doing this, I highly encourage everybody to do this on X or any kind of social media. Well, it's just mostly X. But I'll get stuff like this where Jordan Peterson, he was talking about China. And he was saying about how there is this social risk score and that they have AI and it's pretty much there's videos of people all the way through there. They have a digital ID. They can track you by your gait, your face ID, and essentially the way that you move. And if you do like a jaywalking, they can say, hey, this guy, Jerry Hall, jaywalked on September 21st, and I'm going to send him a bill or a fine of 100 renminbi or whatever, and he has to pay that. Oh, we're already going to take it out of your account because we have access to that. And also because of that, your social score just went down by 10 points because you were jaywalking. Don't jaywalk again. So like when I saw that, I'm like, man, maybe Ray Dalio was incorrect about China. But I had just done a post the week before where I'm like, hey, this looks pretty good. It was a Chinese type of propaganda thing from Russian news and whatever. I just thought it was interesting. But what I will do is when I have something like this, Marcos says, hey, that's a big time bold take. Does they have this to back it up? And I said, yeah. And it was great because I just used Grok to verify everything. And it's great because when you can have an AI verify it and then give you links to what he's talking about, like Jordan Peterson, what he said was primarily right. There was a couple caveats, which was great. But I think a lot of the things when people say, and they're looking at this data, especially with like crypto and different projects, they're like, hey, is that true? Can it really do that? Or if it's like social type of constructs, hey, is that really true? What was said about this person or that party? I'm telling you, AI in that perspective is great. Jerry, thoughts on that one, or was I rambling too much there for a second?
No, I think there is. I think we're going to see that. We're going to see. So everything that we generally do as people comes from a base level of incentives, right?
Yeah.
Am I incentivized to do something? I look at my life, everything I do is coming from the incentives that I'm incentivized to do. Now, there's some bad things I do. I eat some junk food sometimes. That's not good. I'm not necessarily incentivized from outside of my body to do that. They're generally pleasure centers of my brain. But you get the point. We're incentivized to do things. So if incentives are aligned with outcomes and we follow through with those things, most of the time they're good. Can they be used for bad? Absolutely. There's no question about it. And will we as a culture and as societies around the world bump our heads against that? Of course, we're humans, right? We're not AI. We're not blockchain. These are tools that we use. And will we misuse them sometimes? Yes. But hopefully, over time, the better outcomes will prevail and things will be good. I saw one comment, Rob. Can I answer it real quick? It's from Resist, and he talked about the funding for the Cardano Home Portal project. I want you to know, Mr. Resist, if you reach out to me at jerry@computeportal.io or through my X account, I'm more than happy to have a discussion with you. We are looking for investment, absolutely, as a company, and so making some kind of equity deal is completely in line with the way we're thinking about doing things. So
yeah, and if you can't, if you can't find Jerry there, just do what I do. I just go to X and I take a look at Jerry V. Hall, and of course I look at all his imposters that he has there. That's a lot of imposters. But then I click on that Or you can just, there's a link in the description. You can find Jerry, and then you send him a message. Click there, and then off you go. All right. Next, nice one, Jerry. Let's see. Rip Charlie. Yeah, awful.
Andrew had an interesting one. He says, how do you keep the AI coders in check?
Oh, we don't. You know, at some point, there was this piece on Aether, and there was a company that Aether is working with that does AI bots, and they said right now we have our developers, our coders, but at some point we're not going to need as many of those, and then we'll just use AI to do the coding for us and fix it. But they did say, and it made sense in a certain perspective, there's like, we're going to have a couple that would have to oversee AI, because who knows what, AI might have its own agenda. They're like, what we want to do? We want to wipe out humanity. So we're going to put this code in there that releases X, Y, Z. So yeah, that has to be the big thing.
Well, there's a term in AI, and they call it ethical AI, right? And so if you have a specifically designed ethical AI algorithm that audits all code, now all of a sudden you've got an AI supervising other AI.
You got a foreman, the AI foreman.
Well, it's, you know what? It is kind of like that in a way.
Yeah. Hey, Skynet, get off your butt, start working. We want you to wipe out humanity by noon. Let's get going. Yeah, that type of thing. Let's see. Enzo says, I upgraded my ITC account to start planning exit. Smart Enzo.
Man.
That's pretty good.
Smart man or lady.
Or lady, yeah. Homo sapiens for now.
Now those two ticker symbols you just saw,
which ones
are ticker symbols that should be in everyone's Roth IRA. If you're going to go into the capital market and go to the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, ticker symbols like what you see right there, Tesla, Nvidia, you should have exposure to them in your Roth IRA, and just let them marinate, because those companies aren't going away.
Yeah,
they're like Coke. They're like Coca-Cola. Those companies will be here in 100 years. There's no question.
My question is, what will the inflation rate be in 100 years? Yeah.
You ever look at the debt clock just for shock and awe?
Yeah, let's take a look.
Which leads me to, I remember making a statement on this show, and I want to let everybody know I'm humbled in that the Fed did make a rate cut of 25 points or 0.25 back on the 17th. I'm aware of it, and I didn't think they would this calendar year. So I stand corrected. Jerry was wrong.
Oh, that's right.
On that call. But I don't think they're going to go crazy. I don't think we're going to see a bunch.
Yeah, I was wrong too, because I thought they're going to do 50 basis points. I mean, me and the new appointee by Trump, Stefan Affairs last name, he, I think, was pushing for 50 basis points, and that didn't happen. But yeah, I thought, 50 basis points, we could do that. But, they came out, and that was it. So debt clock, Jerry, $37 trillion, that's not too bad. I think if we all check our couch cushions collectively on this stream, we should be able to cover a little bit of that. I get it. Shaolin says, I love how the Fed calculates inflation. The more energy, food, etc. goes up, the less I have for consumer goods, and then inflation is low. And they don't cut. Isn't that amazing?
That is amazing, isn't it? That they can change the basket in which they use to measure. It would be like saying, all you carpenters out there, the measurements on your tape measure, you need to trade them in, because we've now established new measurements.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's the world we live in. That's for sure. Jimmy says, Rob, you're right. Grok is great at smoking out bull nonsense. Lots of bots and misinformation out there that needs to be fact checked. That's for sure. Every social media. I wish they would have that on Facebook or I guess it's called Meta now. I don't really go there that much though. Let's see. And I think any other questions? Huh, this is pretty good. LAX guy says, and we'll leave it here. Inflation is transitory. Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen. And I remember those days. I'm glad we're beyond those, and we all realize that inflation is going to stick around, and that's why it's so important for all of us, not financial advice, but to really think about owning as many different assets as we possibly can. That could be crypto, that could be gold and silver, that could be equities, or that could be like Jerry owning a bunch of land with waterfalls and something else in Costa Rica, which he's developing. Anyhow, Jerry, that's it. That's it for this one. Any last words of wisdom for the people who we're coming into Q4? What do you got for them? And then we'll get out of here.
Again, acquire the things that you use, that you believe in. If you're using a product every day and you don't own some of the company that produces it, you might want to think about that, right? That's one of these Warren Buffett type principles. I think it's pretty sound. And then the other is, look where the world is going. And are you putting your investment dollars where you believe the world will be in 5 years? Right?
Yeah, exactly.
And if not, get a hold of Rob and I over at the Beyond Moon Investment Club, and we'll walk through all those questions and answers with you.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody. So a ton of links in the description. Go check these out. But that's it for today. We'll see you in a week, and I'll see you, of course, tomorrow. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next one. Adios.